kind of lazy today and decided to make a video about my favorite 90s thrash metal albums. It's going to be 10 of them. This is going to be an honorable mention in the background, which is Visitor. Band's from Anaheim, California. They released, I believe, only this. They're self-titled, 1993. Honorable mention, there's going to be, I'm going to show 10 of my favorite 90s thrash metal albums before the change, I'd say. Got 3, I love that fucking riff. Anyway, pretty badass album. Check it out if you don't know it. I'll put a link in the description below. I'll just keep on playing this in the background. So I decided to put 3 honorable mentions. This one is definitely one of them. Because another one I didn't include, but it was released in 1990. It's more of a death thrash album. So sorry I leave it out, but another favorite from back in the day. Morbid Saint, Spectrum of Death. And last honorable mention's another death thrash band. I think they released this in '92. I believe it's Silent Scream, from the darkest depths of the imagination. Another killer one from California. Fucking killer shit. I'm gonna turn that one down. Yeah, Holding the Brain. This is some killer shit. Of course, all 3 of these will be in the description below. So let's get to the top 10, my favorite top 10 90s, and this is predominantly, I've noticed, 90 and 91 era shit, so let's go with it. First one at number 10 would be Creator's Coma of Soul. Coma of Souls, released in 1990. A classic in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't really care for this album. I've heard that several times, but I've always liked this one. This is the only version I have of it, is this reissue. I really want to get this on wax one day, but my favorite tracks on this is the title track, Coma of Souls, and this is an absolute banger in my opinion. This comes with a nice little insert there, so eventually I'm gonna get this on wax. I really want it. So number 10, Creator, Coma of Souls. Next up is Anthrax, Persistence of Time, released in 1990. Actually seen these guys for the first time on this tour, and I still love this album. I don't see it get shown very much, but the album before this was State of Euphoria, so it had kind of silly moments. This one seemed more focused and more serious, in my opinion. My favorite tracks are definitely Keep It in the Family. I love that heavy groove. In My World, Belly of the Beast. I fucking love that track. I love that cover, Got the Time. I love that bass line in it. And Discharge. Every track on this is a freaking banger in my opinion. So Anthrax coming in at number 9 with Persistence of Time. Goddamn fucking awesome. Coming in at number 8, guys, I have so many copies of this, is Testament, Souls of Black, released in 1990. I don't know. I first heard the title track, Souls of Black, and watched a video on Hell's Headbangers. Not Hell's Headbangers, Headbangers Ball. And immediately went and bought this on cassette back in the day and tore that thing up. And you know what's funny is everybody kind of complains about the production on this. I didn't even notice it until somebody said it a couple of years ago. I love the production on this album. Souls of Black is my favorite track on this. Fate in the Sky, Falling Fast. I love Falling Fast a lot. Absence of Light, Malpractice. Just an absolute banger. So, yeah. At number 8. At number 7 is another 1990 release by Annihilator, Never Neverland. This is actually my favorite Annihilator album, and I love the sharp precision guitar work in this, the vocals in this. I'd say my favorite tracks on this one is Road to Ruin. I really like that one. Stonewall, Never Neverland, the title track. I like Craft Dinner. I thought that was fucking hysterical. And I Am in Command. Just a total banger. Annihilator coming in at number 7. Never Neverland. Another one. Wow, this one smokes too. Artillery by Inheritance. I've shown this several times. I absolutely think this one is a ripper. I love the Middle Eastern kind of feel it has to it. There's a lot of tracks on this one. I think Don't Believe is probably one of my favorites. I love the opening track, 7 from, I can't even see that anymore. Well, anyway, it's that first track. The opening track is fucking, just sets the tone for this album. And it's another one that will never get old. Badass early 90s thrash. Another one, I always show it with that one because I kind of heard them at about the same time. Eccentrics with For Whose Advantage. And this one, I remember when it came out, I thought it sounded a lot like Metallica when I first heard it. This one right here, there's so many. I love the bass intro to the title track, For Whose Advantage. Questions is fucking killer. The Human Condition, I really love that song. There's so many good ones on this one. The Better End is a good one, and Keep It in the Dark, or Kept in the Dark, another one. I dig that freaking album art. It sets it aside from everything else. I don't know actually who did the album art, but this one's another 1990 release. Good grief. 1990 had a lot of bangers. A lot of classic bangers. Let's see here. Dang, these are tough. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I must have miscounted somewhere. That's alright. So, coming at number 4 will be Heathen. This, oh man, Victims of Deception is an absolute fucking awesome album. Tracks on this one are very memorable, and just have a fucking sound to them I love. I love the vocals on this as well. But Hypnotize is the very opening track. I think it's like 8 freaking minutes long. There's so many. Kill the King, I love that track. And Fear of the Unknown is another one. Every track on this is a total ripper from start to finish. Always has been, always will be. Just an absolute fucking banger right here. Heathen, Victims of Deception. I think this was released in 91. I'm not sure, but I think it was. Now, another one that's usually probably going to be the top of everybody's list, but this is a damn good album, of course, we know this, but there's 2 I thought was a little bit better than this one. This one was released, of course, in 1990, Megadeth's Rust in Peace. My favorite track on this is definitely Take No Prisoners. Five Magics is another good one on it. Tornado Souls, of course. But this album, a little funny story. I first got it on cassette back in the day. Me and my buddy Shannon, if you're watching, you know the story. We walked into, how old was we in 1990? 16 or 17 years old, and we decided to freaking pocket this album. The reason why we did is it was in those little those little plastic deals that you had to take up front to unlock. But whenever we picked it up, the tape actually fell out on the floor, so grabbed it and put it in our fucking pockets. Yeah, no, shouldn't steal. I don't like to, especially nowadays. But back then, we didn't give a fuck. To be honest with you, we really wanted this album, and it's one of my favorites still to this day. Megadeth, rest in peace. Fucking badass. Coming in at number 2. Boy, I really fucked that count up. So somebody's gonna comment. They always do. Would be this one, Forbidden, Twisted into Form, which is my favorite Forbidden album. I've listened to this one. I remember hearing this in Salt Lake City for the first time, and my buddy Richard King, or not Richard, yeah, it was Richard King. Richard King, he was from St. Joe, Missouri. We met up in Salt Lake, and I think I was wearing headphones and listening to maybe Slayer at the time. I'm not exactly positive what I was listening to, but he wanted to know what I was listening to, and I showed my cassette case I had at the time, and we got to talking, and he talked about this album, and then he introduced me to this one. So absolute banger, of course. I love the intro, and it goes into Infinite. I love that fucking track. Out of Body, Out of Mind, fucking killer one. Twisted into Form, Spiral Depression. I remember used to listen to that instrumental over and over again. I actually fucking love that. And One Foot in Hell is another killer one. And so, yeah, somebody's probably wondering why I didn't show any Slayer, because number 1 is not a Slayer album. Not. So I decided to bring both versions out because it has different album covers. And this is my number 1 favorite thrash metal album from the 90s is Overkill Horoscope, which of course the CD, I'll pull this out here in a minute, looks like this. Then my vinyl version of it, which is I think it's a 2017 reissue. This one was released in 1991, and I remember the day I bought this, I bought it on cassette, and I'll show you the back of it. I won't show the label on it, but I bought it on cassette, and I was listening to it in my Walkman right before the football game. And every track to this album right here blows me away. But anyway, here's the original. That's what my cassette looked like, was that. Absolutely love the bat. But anyway, yeah, that football game, I played a pretty decent ball game after listening to this son of a bitch right here. This is definitely one of my favorite Overkill albums, especially from the 90s. I actually thought about making a video of the slowdown of thrash, which the album after this one was called I Hear Black, which I've been listening to a lot. But anyway, this is my number 1 favorite, I guess, pure thrash metal from 1990s before the change. So favorite tracks on this, of course, is Coma, Blood Bunny, Bare Bones, Thanks for Nothing. I love that, the attitude in that track. New Machine, I love that one. I love the Edgar Winter cover of Frankenstein. Live Young, Die Free, that's a good one. And A Nice Day for a Funeral. And my favorite rain track of all time, if it's raining outside, like a light rain, I love listening to Solitude, the last track, the ballad. But anyway, yeah, kind of a lazy kind of video, really, because I wanted to shoot something else, but I just couldn't put it together. And I kept on seeing this one, and I've been really just wanting to listen to some 90s thrash metal, and there you have it. So hopefully you guys enjoy. If you guys want to make another video or response to it, that'd be fucking awesome. Or list in the comment below your favorite 90s thrash metal albums. I'm gonna follow it up definitely with the favorite, my top 10 favorite thrash metal albums after the change. I would say whenever grunge took over, Metallica released a Black Album. It seemed like all the thrash bands kind of just followed that rabbit hole, and they put out some albums that at the time wasn't what we was wanting to hear back then. And then nowadays, you know, some of them I did instantly loved them, and some of them it took a little time to grow on me. And I think that'd be a fun idea for a video. May do that very soon. But that was my idea originally. It is what it is. So anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Like I said before, you all have a fucking awesome day. It's Saturday today. I've been sitting around drinking coffee, listening to some thrash, and just hanging out. So, y'all have a good one. Later.